Assange has just been arrested, and the Ecuadorian embassy was willing to allow authorities to come in and arrest him. He's been charged with conspiracy to hack, and it's in regard to the 2010 leak of classified documents pertaining to the various wars we were in, or still are in, by the US government. Now, during 2016, though, Julian Assange was also in the news, and it was because of the fact that WikiLeaks had put out the emails of the DNC and John Podesta. Now, currently, he is not facing any charges in regard to that, but that did, to some extent, help Donald Trump. And at the time, he seemed to be very much in favor of Julian Assange. Now, with that said, what does he have to say about Julian Assange today?
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
What would you like to see happen? What punishment?
I don't really have any opinion.
So remember, it is Donald Trump's Department of Justice that is going after Julian Assange with this charge. And it's important to keep in mind, especially when you go back to 2016, or at least the election cycle for 2016, and remember what Trump had to say about Julian Assange back then.
WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks.
This WikiLeaks stuff is unbelievable. It tells you the inner heart. You got to read it.
It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
This WikiLeaks is fascinating.
This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove. Getting off the plane, they were just announcing new WikiLeaks, and I wanted to stay there, but I didn't want to keep you waiting.
Boy, I love reading those WikiLeaks.
This is so indicative of who Donald Trump is. He will love you when he can use you, and then he will immediately turn his back to you when he doesn't need you anymore. It's amazing.
Why does he say that? Why does he say he doesn't know anything about WikiLeaks? I mean, we're just so used to it, we'll move on. And you know, I guess the best defense is he misspoke. He meant to say that I don't know anything about the case in particular and the Attorney General is pursuing it. But the way he said it, you saw it on tape, you saw it with your own eyes. I don't know anything about WikiLeaks. And we show you the clips of like, WikiLeaks is the best, I love WikiLeaks, I love reading WikiLeaks. If he loves reading WikiLeaks, it's the only thing he's ever read. But he turns around and says, WikiLeaks, what name so? Like he just can't help himself. It's pathological. Just give like half an honest answer for a second. Hey, listen, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Take it up with the Attorney General. They do an independent investigation there. And hey, you know what? You saw me during the election. I was happy that they released some of that information, but that's political and that's not for me to interfere with the Attorney General and having him do his legal job. There's an answer, right?
Yeah.
But he's not smart enough to put together those sentences. So he goes, WikiLeaks? I don't know WikiLeaks. What's WikiLeaks? I don't know it. Come on,
and he
Jesus Christ.
has no leg to stand on, in terms of making the argument that the Attorney General and the Justice Department is independent. Because the Justice Department and specifically the Attorney General, current Attorney General William Barr, has certainly not been independent when it comes to getting involved in defending Donald Trump in this whole Russia investigation. But look, the point that I wanted to make is that anyone who's around Trump right now, anyone who is blinded by their thirst for power is blind to the fact that he is going to turn on you at any given moment. He will use you to his advantage when it suits him, and then he will turn around and allow you to deal with whatever consequences his lackeys feel are appropriate.
Yeah, they're having a huge party under that bus that Donald Trump has thrown everyone under. So Julian Assange, understandably, was upset with Hillary Clinton. She threatened his life and his liberty, and she did so in a way that I thought was horribly unfair. And the Democratic establishment was terrible to Julian Assange overall. But if he thought he had a friend in Donald Trump, that's a terrible miscalculation. So look, I don't think anything he did is illegal in 2010 or 2016, and we're people of principle here. But and I know that WikiLeaks disagrees with us, and I know there are WikiLeaks defenders who disagree with us. But the timing of the release of that information was super curious, and it certainly seemed to suggest that they favored Donald Trump in the election. Oops. So Julian, you'll find Kirsten Nielsen under that bus, and Jeff Sessions, and you'll find Jim Mad Dog Mattis and Rex Tillerson and John Kelly and about 100 other people under that bus. Trump is not your friend. He's not anybody's friend but himself.
And most importantly, he is not the friend for journalists or of journalists. He does not value journalism. He is fighting pretty aggressively to roll back any protections for journalism and journalists. And so this doesn't shock me. What happened to Julian Assange today under President Trump's Department of Justice does not shock me. But what does worry me is what this all means for the future of journalism in America. What kind of precedent this sets and what kind of protections we're now seeing, rolled back for people who actually care about getting the truth to the American people.
And if you're one of those bitter Democrats or whoever you are who's now celebrating Julian Assange being taken into custody and charged in America, hold your celebration, because what you're doing while you're pretending to be part of the resistance, God, these Democrat establishment figures, they're really repulsive. What you're doing is you're letting Trump open the door to arresting journalists for aiding their sources, saying, hey, do you have anything else for me? Which is just journalism 101. So here's a guy who's called the press the enemy of the people and encouraged attacks against them. You wanna let him open that door? You must be out of your mind. And so if you do, and you're part of the people celebrating today, then you got no right to complain ever again about Trump or anyone else taking press freedoms, because you celebrated while he did it. We do not. Whether we agree politically or not with Julian Assange, this is a terrible day in America for journalism, and this should not stand. The courts should definitely overturn this and protect the United States Constitution.